her point, our future, a division of Loma Vision. I'm Tony Parks, founder of Loma Vision, and I'm here today with our co-host, Mr. Marcus Washington, and we want to welcome you to today's panel discussion here in Somerdale. We are so excited to work together and expand out into different communities and to be able to be welcomed into this community to come and have some conversation. Okay, today's topic we're going to cover when moms become a mogul, what it takes for black women to balance corporate America or private businesses and family. And now that I've introduced myself, I'm going to ask my co-host to introduce himself and just tell you a little bit about his organizations that he has. Marcus, introduce yourself and tell the people about you.
Hello, my name is Marcus Washington. I'm the president of My Community Mentors, also the owner of Baldwin County Hoopers professional basketball team. With my youth program, we're trying to help at-risk youth by helping not just them but their families as well, and giving as much help that we can to them and their communities. For my professional basketball team, we just started our season. We're excited about having our season playing in the ABA, the American Basketball Association. We have a game tonight at 6 o'clock at South Baldwin Christian Academy in Gulf Shores, Alabama. And we have a long season playing all the way into March.
Okay, and that said, today we have our panelists with us again, and we're going to ask each of our panelists to introduce themselves as well as the organizations that they are affiliated with, just to give you information on how to contact them if you find out that they're doing something that you want to be connected with, which I'm sure you find that to be true.
I am Debbie Smith. My website is debbiesmith.com, www.debbiesmith.com. I am the creator of the not-for-profit charity called The Village. I do work with women with children to help prevent homelessness. I am a public speaker as well as a creative. I have a number of different businesses, Silver Smoke, Oils Wells Products. My public speaking is my brand itself, Debbie R. Smith, and I'm just excited to be here. I've been working within the community, in this community in Alabama since 2010. My work has been abroad though since, probably 25, 30 years, and I'm just excited to be here to share in a town hall setting the different things that affect us in our lives and helping the better us. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jesse Walker with Loma Vision. I'm an executive producer. I'm an entrepreneur on a health organization, and that's me.
Good morning, I'm Shirley Pittman. I am a business systems analyst. I am in corporate America in the HR field, been in the HR field for about 20 plus years. I'm a mother, a wife, also a public speaker, and I'm glad to be here with you today.
Hey, you know, I'm Bishop Booker T. Washington Jr. I'm the founder and pastor of Divine Revelation Deliverance Center. And I also assist my son when he asks him to come help him out. So if you ever need us, JesusBishop@hotmail.com. My number is 251-978-9033. Thank you.
Good morning everyone. My name is Annalisa Birch. I'm pretty much new to Alabama. I've been here about 6 years, so I'm not officially sworn in as an Alabamian, but I think I'm doing pretty well. I'm most recently a published author of a 30-page poetry anthology called The Silence Colonized. So like a lot of these folks here that I'm amongst, I've got one foot in the door still of the quote-unquote 9 to 5, and the other foot aspiring to return to my entrepreneurial heritage and birthright. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So as you can see, we have an amazing and very diverse panel today, and I think that we're going to have an awesome conversation within on the topic that we're covering today. And again, we're covering when Mom Becomes a Mogul, what it takes for black women to balance corporate America or private businesses and family. So as of right now, we're going to get started, and both Marcus and I are going to moderate today. And as we ask the questions, we ask that you tune in. If you have any questions, please just drop those in the comments, and we would love to be able to communicate back and forth with you. Marcus, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's get started. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, Black women being underrepresented in leadership roles in corporate America has driven many to start their own companies. Having done that, we understand that in corporate America there are many challenges, not just for Black women, but Black men as well. So now that the doors are opening up to diversity, equity, and inclusion in corporate America as well as in the business world, let's talk about how the community support can be greater for female entrepreneurs, and if the community support is greater than that in corporate America. We understand the challenges that, like I said, the women face in corporate America, but when she's opening her own business and she's coming into the community saying, hey, this is what I want to do, what are those challenges that she's facing? And is the community backing her?
I'll start. To answer simply, no. Our community has not done a really good job at supporting one another. We have to build outside, and granted, in sales trainings and sales growth and development, you learn to think outside of your family and friends. You do, but you begin with, doesn't matter whether it's an MLM you're a part of, and I've been a part of many of those, multi-level marketing. It doesn't matter whether it's that or you have a grassroots idea that you begin with, you need support. And that first list that you have, that first 50, that first 100, the first 10 is going to be of your family and friends. And you are hard pressed to get mama and them to support. You're hard pressed to get auntie and cousin and them to even share your Facebook post. It doesn't cost a dime for you to share a page. It doesn't cost a dime for you to like or make a comment. Girl, that looks good. Oh, I'm so excited about your new endeavor. The question is, does it happen? It doesn't. And it's whether it's corporate America or branching out on your own. And it's always, and I've worked on both sides, I would always tell someone to have your own. Because no one can take from you what's yours. No one can take that from you. However, the challenge is getting us to support us. We need to do a better job at supporting us. We will spend our dollars at Walmart, but won't spend our dollars at home, literal home.
Well, let me ask this question. Is it easier for a man, a Black man in the Black community to start a business and have that support than it is for a Black woman?
Oh, of course. Because he's a man. We live in a male-dominated world. Okay? So naturally, it's going to be a little bit easier for him. But I do know that for him to sustain that entrepreneurial endeavor, there had better be a strong Black woman behind him, because he is faced with more challenge than we are when we're on the front line, entrepreneurial things trying to, block his progress, all kind of hurdles in his way. We won't mention what they are, y'all know what they are. So yes, most definitely, his challenge is greater, but he can't do it with the strength of a sister.
I agree with what you all said. I learned that to create something and to be good at it, you need a supporter. Because when you have challenges, you need someone that you can go back to. You may come home and you want to cry. You may just want to just lay down and rest. And when you have a supporter, and like you said earlier, if the community can understand that, and not always have the hand I want, people support you if they can get something. And I think the challenge for both is being able to work through those hurdles and find the people that's willing to support you, to stick behind you. Because eventually, that old crust that's trying to keep you down and hold the crab mentality, eventually those claws can be broken off and you can get out of that bucket. So you have to be determined and be consistent that I'm going to do this in spite of.
Okay, but I see it's a little different. how I see it. And if you weigh it, now the women have progressed. They don't just they out there, they doing their thing. Now for a man to come out, a man has to come out at the age of 18, and he's pushed out there to do their thing, to do his thing, uneducated and all that. A woman is always, the women out there have an easier time in moving than a man do because they're more educated than the men. The men's not as educated as a woman. Women out there, they got 4, 5 degrees, and they get these jobs and they get these opportunities. And the only reason why they out there got the entrepreneurship moving is because they were unhappy in corporate America, because corporate America gave them a ceiling. And they know that they can oversee that ceiling, so they get out of that job and go create their own job, and they push it, and they move it. These women are moving. Now these men, at the age of 18, we're told to get out the house, go make money and provide. And we're not as educated as women are in these fields, period. I mean, it's women got us by, I mean, you can't even measure how the women then outran us in the corporate America, and how they outran us out in the entrepreneur field. It was just no joke. They just doing it, and all hands down to them, and we praise them. But the thing is that it is much harder for a man than it is for a woman, because like I said, she's educated. She was told to go out and get an education and don't depend on no man to do this and do that, and she has done it.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Well, I tend to agree with the bishop here. For anyone, male or female, you're going to need a support system, and you're both going to face challenges. Some challenges might be harder for one. It all depends on your perspective and what you see. I've been in corporate America. It has not been easy for women in corporate America. In some situations, I've had to take demotion in order to get promotion or make lateral moves. And it all depends on what your plan is, what your goal is. Once I see that there's a wall that I'm going to hit, I now have a decision to make. I won't be bitter. I won't be micromanaged. I won't be treated any kind of way because I know me. So I don't depend on them to support me. Once I realize the support is not there, I'm going to support myself and make a shift, whether it's a new degree, a new certificate, whatever it's going to take for me to get to where I need to get, because when you see there is no support, now you got to make a decision. Is this something you're going to do? Are you really, I don't even want to say passionate about it, because passion will fizzle. Like the bishop said, when you get tired of hearing no, you get tired of struggling, you don't have that support, passion gonna wane. But when you got purpose will push you to your destiny. And sometimes it don't look like what everybody else looks. And I've had to learn early on, I'm not gonna be stuck because this person or that person, even my family, won't support me. They should. They absolutely should. What I've learned is where I'm now in a new season of my life. I just moved here about 2 years ago to Pensacola. And God has put people around me, and you know how I get support? I support them. I see somebody doing something, I believe in their vision. You know what? I'm going to go support them now. And when you do that, doors will open for you. You want support, you go out and give support. If you see that you've given this person support, now it's your time to shine, and they're not supporting you, they ain't the one. Find the ones that are going to give you the support. So I think it's a challenge both ways. I wouldn't say it's easier for a male than a female. It depends on what you're going after, what you're doing. In corporate America, I work for a large organization. I see a lot of women in power, but they're not black women. I see a lot of men in power. A small percent of them are black men. I mean in top levels, but it's not a lot of them. So I think it's a challenge in corporate America as well as it is when you're becoming an entrepreneur, although I do think it's harder as an entrepreneur. You know, at least in the corporate America, they have a structure, and you got to find out where you fit in that structure. And entrepreneurship is you. Like I think it was, what's your name? I'm sorry. Annalisa said, it's your vision. It's what you're gonna do. You're out there doing it, and nobody can take it away from you. So you're gonna have to go out of it full speed, and it's gotta be. You have to feel that purpose that's driving you, because that's what's gonna get you to your destiny. Passion gonna fizzle out. It's gonna get hard, and in those hard times, you gotta have something pushing you forward.
I'd like to, the dialogue is beautiful. I like the way this is beautiful, but we kind of rabbit and squirrel a little bit. Your question was whether it was harder for a male versus a female to begin a business. And for those who are watching, you need to know that the tangible answer to that is no. Because tangibly, if you have a goal, if you have a dream, if you have a business on the inside of you, you go to the Alabama Department of Revenue and you get yourself a license. Tangibly, you go to Office Depot or you go to Vistaprint and you get you some business cards, you get you some postcards. You tangibly can do, a man can do the same thing a woman can do. A woman can do the same thing that a man can do tangibly. Now, how much drive and perseverance and purpose and all those things that come beyond that, that is up to the individual. But no man or woman in 2021 has a problem filling out a form. No man or woman in 2021 has a problem saying, I want to sell my green beans. I want to sell my waist beads. I want to sell my lock cream. All you have to do, and if you're not computer savvy, find someone who is. Go to the library. So to answer your question, it's not easier to start a business. The challenges come in growing a business. That's where we have the problems, and that's where the mindset shifts and change. I appreciate the accolades, sir, about how wonderful women are in business, because we are indeed doing it, absolutely. But I have no greater ability to begin a business than you do, than anyone out there does. If you have a dream, get up and turn it into a vision. If you have a goal, get up and run your race and make it happen. Sitting around saying, I wish I could, wishes, honey, go in wells, and nothing comes out of that. Put your faith in action. Yeah, you can begin a business. Who's going to stop you? No one's going to stop you from getting that license. Now, you got to pay your taxes. Call me for that. No one's going to stop you from putting your faith in action except you. That's to actually answer your question, because your actual question was it harder for a male versus a female? No, it's not. Go online and start your business. You want to start a business? Start a business. I got 5. Start your business.
So when you see the support not being like you want it to be, and you see everything kind of against you, what kind of pushes you to continue pushing with your vision?
I like to eat. If you want to, I'm an entrepreneur. So a person who works, and I've done both. If I work in a 9 to 5, whether I work a little bit or a lot, I'm gonna still get a paycheck. Now, I continue working just a little bit. They may call me in and say, you're gonna have to do better, we're gonna send you to the house. Okay? But you're still getting something. If Debbie doesn't get out the bed and do some marketing, if Debbie doesn't get in the bed and sell some books, if Debbie doesn't get out of the bed and make some product and put that product out there to be sold, Debbie won't eat. I won't be able to put gas in my vehicle. It's the same thing that drove our ancestors to do what they did many moons ago. If I don't plant the seed, I can't have harvest. If I don't have harvest, my children won't eat. And there's so many of us that don't have hunger. So whether that's tangible hunger or whether that's the hunger for more in life, you need to be hungry. So many of us are not hungry. I like to eat. I like to dress well. I like to travel. That's what drives me. I don't want someone, I have children and I have a grandchild. I don't want someone dictating to me whether or not I'm going to be able to make it to my child's recital. I don't want someone dictating to me, oh, I have a headache today, I don't want to go in, I don't want to be forced. I did that already. I missed football games and soccer games. I have had times I had to tell the supervisor, I can't make it because my daughter is sick. Well, how do you alleviate the bosses? Become the boss.
For me, it was just kids. I'm raising some kids in the house, so I had to do something, and it was generational wealth trying to leave behind. So that would push me out every day out the house and got me out of bed and made an impact on the community and an impact in the household. That was the thing, to try to be a positive role model for the kids, to make sure they see somebody doing the things that need to be done in order to make it in this world. Because I was always taught that you won't get there just by 9 to 5. So I was told to go out and do it on your own and push it, and that's what I did. And that what got me out there doing it.
When I look at when I came up, I didn't have the role models that would tell you what you could do and what you could not do. I don't know how old most of you all are, but my parents had to work every day. So you didn't have the internal support that you have now with, like, my kids. I'm like, hey, you don't have to do this. I left Alabama because there was nothing that you could go and start. Working in the potato field, the peas field, the pecan field, gas station. So people back then may not have what you have now. There is no excuse. I agree with you that yes, you can start a business if you have the drive and know what you want to do. But the thing about starting a business, most people that start a business is not educated to order the thing that is required, like marketing. A lot of people know nothing about marketing. Well, take it back to the computer. A lot of people don't even want to touch the computer. You don't have to be old. We got young folks don't know computers. So I don't think it's hard. I think the most difficult thing is, do you have the drive and the motivation to do what you're saying you want to do? Can you sell what you're saying you want to start? Most of us want to start, have the nice Lamborghini and the big nice home, but you don't want to work. You treat people the way you want to be treated, and I promise you, your business will prevail. It'll grow. You can't treat people like, I think someone here said it, you can't treat me like I'm nothing and pay me chump change. I'm going to stop. But when you look at society, we got too many of us have worked hard, retired, and now you're struggling. And the people you work for got their children and all these nice cars and all this other good stuff. And that's what bothers me sometimes, that when we got a business, treat your people right. And when you treat them right and your customers, more people's gonna come. So I think it's a challenge with all of us to, if I start a business, how do I want to reach my community? I already know I got people against me. I know I got family members. I've seen 2 businesses start and they failed because the person had no perseverance. They had no motivation to do well. He was an expert. Should have been well on. So I think sometimes business fails because you don't see the challenge. The person that's trying to cut you down. Because the same business you started, somebody started going around the corner because of you. That sometimes discourages me. But you have to look beyond that and say, you know what? I'm the best at this. And you can't stop me, no matter how you come at me. So I think this is good, that we need to educate people that, hey, you can do anything you choose to if you put your mind to it. And let's quit talking about you're a woman.
Well, you said the question was, I'm going to give you, how do you continue when you don't have any support? For me personally, my dream only matters to me. Nobody gives a damn about my dream. I got family members, when my book came out, I ain't gonna call them out on TV. They did not say, oh, congratulations, my sister. It was like, oh, really? And they ministers and stuff. Y'all know what they'll be. Okay, so I have to believe in myself. That has to be my drive. I have to remember, there was a Black Wall Street. There was a Tulsa, Oklahoma. There was pyramids. They came and sat at our ancestors' feet. Y'all gonna get me emblazoned up in here. I don't need somebody to believe in me anymore, as long as I got a big cheese. So I have to constantly remind myself. I got a baby picture of myself up on my altar in my house. A baby picture when I was like 2 years old. Do I remember taking a picture? No. But every time I leave my house and I look at that baby, I'm my own child. And I'm going to tell that child every day, I believe in your dream. And you go for it. So that's how I continue. I try to keep it as real and as to the core as possible. The bottom line is you must believe in your own purpose. I have been robbed, we have been robbed out of everything else. Our continent, the wealthiest continent on the planet, I've been robbed and raped and disenfranchised from it. I'm in a country that I built on the back of our ancestors' backs. This nation is wealthy, but we're ripping. It doesn't even belong to me, but I know it's mine. So I don't care how much you try to tell me it don't belong to me. I'm the child of two nations, and I ain't going nowhere. I'll have a red, white, and blue on this side, and a red, black, and green on the other side, and you'll have to, you call me whatever you want to call me. A damn Yankee, or African American, whatever it is. But you got to have a deeper sense of purpose, and I will not be robbed out of my divine purpose. That's all I'm going to say.
I think that's beautiful. And Bishop, I absolutely agree with you as well. Again, for me, things are internal, spiritual, but they're also tangible. I believe in marketing. I believe in networking. Once again, we're talking to people and helping to answer questions. So network, we covered already that we cannot rely solely on mama and sister and cousin and them. So what do? You join organizations that will benefit you in networking. You scrape those coins together and you join the chamber. You have a business. The chamber is about businesses. You join your Alabama Business Women's Association, or your, whatever the network, whether it's a black network, it's a multicultural network. There's nothing stopping us, and I find that I've lived in the Gulf Coast region my entire life. I was born and raised in Louisiana, now I'm here in Alabama. And yes, racism, prejudices still are alive and kicking. They are there. Yes, there's a lot of Jim Crow that still happens, behind closed doors that a lot of people don't know anything about. But what stops us from walking into a room and sitting in the front versus sitting in the back? What's stopping you from filling out the application to join an organization? I have a name that travels. I'm Debbie Smith. Okay, you can take a look at my resume, take a look at my portfolio, and you have no idea what color I am. Doesn't make it wrong if you don't have a name that travels. Doesn't make it right that if you don't. But nothing stops you from filling out the paperwork. Nothing stops you from paying the fee. Nothing stops you from going to the business after hours. Nothing stops you from taking your business card and handing it out. Network. Expand your horizons. Period. If your mindset is Mobile and all you've ever been is Mobile and you never step out to Chicago, Detroit, New York, Washington, then your business will never go any further than Mobile. Same thing goes for whether it's Lillian or Alberta or Robertsdale. You've got to choose to market and network and grow. That's how you do it. You just do it.
Speaking on that, growing, expanding, let's shift gears a little bit, because when you take that position that, okay, at this point, I'm going to do whatever is necessary to expand and grow my business and to enlarge the vision and carry out the vision that has been placed before me. When you get to that place, at that point, as a woman, where we understand the dynamic of the family and where the woman plays her role in the family, when you get to that place where you start focusing on business like that, does your role shift in the family? Because and I'm gonna turn this over to Marcus so he can ask that. But what are the knowing that you're the nurturer, you're the caregiver, you're the helpmate, and you're out here trying to grow a business, but you still got to take care of home.
Are we on the second question?
Yeah, you can't answer the question,
I can answer
can you?
that now. I can answer that.
Oh, you gonna answer the question?
Well, I mean,
This will be
if you asking a question, is she a boss out there and a boss at the house?
Yes, that's exactly what she's asking.
And honestly, okay.
Come on, Sarah.
No.
Because I'm trying to figure out why he answering the question.
No, she's not the boss at the house.
Exactly. She's not the boss at the house because the man's supposed to lead. And that's our role.
Supposed to.
That's our
Supposed to.
Our role. We're the lover, we're the leader, we're the provider, and we're the protector. That's our thing. But if you take one of those four things off the car, then the wheel ain't gonna turn right. So you can lead out there. Well, that's great. That's good. But when you come in this house now, it's covered by a male. It's covered by God, Jesus, man, woman. I'm just saying that's where it's structured. It's supposed to be structured.
That's not the question, though.
Yeah, but when she comes in, the question is she going to be the boss in the house as well as she is out there in the corporate world or out there in the streets, in her job, in her business? And she, like I say, she can be the boss out there, but in here we got to compromise. She got to come down to something because we can't have that masculinity out there and that masculinity coming back up in here because we're going to crash. And if we crash,
anybody?
then we're going to have a problem when we crash.
Okay,
So,
let me ask this question of Bishop. Understanding the original dynamic of how the family is supposed to be, okay? We are in a time where we've evolved, all right? And with the understanding of the foundation of how the family is supposed to be, should there be a level of grace extended to a woman who is trying to prepare and trying to provide for her family alongside that man, that husband? What level of grace should come from that husband toward that woman, or that spouse toward that woman when she comes home?
I'm going to use myself as an example. During 1.5 years in the military, my wife took care of kids. She worked every night and day. And she always told me, she said, when you come home, you're not the command sergeant major. You're my husband. I had to learn how, when I left work, to leave. And it's hard to leave some of that junk back there and not bring it into the household. Well, let me use my wife. As she struggled to get to where she needed to be, educated, got everything you need, but they put a 19-year-old over her. She's 37 years old, and you got an older girl with 18. Didn't know nothing. That's a challenge. Well, when she became the boss, I'm retired now. To your question, I had to learn now, I'm like, I didn't retire to be a house husband. Cook, still cut the grass, wash clothes, maybe rub her feet because she's tired. But she never came home trying to be a boss. It's a choice. Some women come home, I've been out working all day, you've been sitting on your back, you ain't doing nothing. Now you're going to start an argument. What does that have to do with it? It's about yielding, supporting, because now she's out doing well. Now my role changes. I have to become that house person, take care of the grandkids. She might come home and go straight to bed. I don't feel like cooking. And she tell me, I'm not cooking. I'm like, okay, I'll go buy something. So I think it takes two people to support one another. It's not about she trying to be a boss at home. That woman went through high water and hell because everybody trying to give her fire. Everybody calling to the corporate headquarters line saying she's doing this. And if you the boss, everybody now reporting to the hierarchy on the commissioner side saying she's got a bad business. So you got to look at the challenges that you face. And most, I'm going to say this, most hard-headed men like to take the scripture, the man is the head of his own wife. But it didn't say you were some dictator or authoritarian. If you love the person, then you can be that kind man. Most of us is not that kind. I'm probably not pleased with the men, but I really don't care. We got to learn how to be that humble, kind, caring, lovable husband when it's necessary. Woman, what you cook? Nothing. I got a flip-flop for you. And now all hell breaks loose. So I think it's a two-way street to support. And not, yes, it says God is the head of every church, not a pastor. We're getting it wrong. And it says every man is the head of his what? His own wife. It didn't say you was in charge of her. Because he did pull her from the back.
Come through, Bishop.
He pulled her from the side.
Can I get a dollar, please?
I'll tell you, I don't. The way I talk, I always try to educate people, and not so much you need to be this way. I like her spirit and how she's saying, I know where I need to go. I know what I want to do. I know how I want to do it. And if you don't want to support me, that's okay. I'm going to still press forward. I like her spirit because she kind of goes into details. And it goes over people's head because people don't know unless you go into details about it. So I think, no, she's not the boss when she come home. But you can make her the boss by treating her like she ain't nothing. Because your little chunk change you got coming in every month when you retired, and she's bringing the bucket of money, most men don't like that. We got to learn how, well, I don't care if my wife made all the money, and I wouldn't bring her $50, I'm going to love that woman not for all the money, but I'm going to love her like, you know what, you can bag it on.
He's speaking of a man who is secure in who he is. Most men are not secure, so they hide behind roles. Yeah. And they take scripture out of context. If you really want to see what scripture says, the man has the tough part. God says, love your wife as Christ loved the church and gave his life for it. The average man is not going to do that.
That's right.
The same with some women. Submit to your husband. Now, submit will make you break out if you're an independent woman. But once you learn, I found out something very valuable being married to an alpha male for 28 years. It was not easy. It was that coming together for us to get a clear understanding. And I learned that a real easy formula, if you can follow it, is H plus U equals V. It means humility plus unity will always get you victory. The problem is we can't get, like he said, you can't get past humility. Somebody got to humble themselves for the best of the family. And it's not going to always be the wife, and it's not going to always be the husband. And what most men miss by being a helpmeet, that's a great responsibility. Most men only want to help me who going to cook my food, take care of these kids, give me some sex, and that's it. But the helpmeet that says, you better than that. Get up. You got to strive for more. I'm in your corner. I'm your biggest chip. Baby, you can do it. Let's go. Let's get it. But you got to move, and I got to help you do something. If you ain't doing nothing, what you need to help me for? So I'm there to push you. You got to have all of me. You got to take all of me. You got to understand who I am, and when you can value each other, that's the key. Something she said very important. You can't worry about the value other people put on you. What does God say about you, and how do you value and see yourself? I made a choice when we were coming together, and we're a blended family, so that comes with a whole other set of issues. But I came together, and as we were coming together to move forward, I chose to step back on some things because we can't have both of us in school, both of us going for the promotion, both of us working, doing the late hours, because now the kid's going to be left. So I made a choice, and this is what I hate. People look at being a mother as if it ain't a job. I'm the CEO. Hey, if motherhood ain't for punks.
No, it ain't.
To raise kids, keep them out of the streets, to keep them out of trouble, that is a task, and to develop their character. And I had to shift gears. I remember my son. And when I tell this story, people really think it's funny, but to me it wasn't funny. He might have been 7. So I was home, got home from work, so let me go ahead and do this, because a working mom, whether it's entrepreneur out in the corp, your day never stops. It's constant. So I get home, okay, let me get this laundry done, so I'm doing laundry. So I had to put the basket of towels in front of my little 7-year-old. And this was, I said, okay, baby, fold those towels. I go here, run back, I come back. I said, fold the towels. Mama, that's your job. I had to go in the other room because I literally saw me choking him till his eye. But I had to ask myself, where'd he get that from? Ain't but one man in the house. Where does this mindset come from? Now, I had to check myself because being a mom and just going. I'm just getting it done. I don't nitpick over who. My husband always work late. If I'm there early, I'm not going to sit home and say, well, I'll work too. You could, because these kids are hungry. So you make adjustments. You learn. The crock pot was my best friend. You make do with what you got going on. Nevertheless, when my husband comes home, I'm like, let me tell you what your son, because when they mess up, they're his kids. When they doing good, let me tell you what your son did. I told him to fold those clothes. He told me that was my job. He's like, called his name, get in here. And I was like, oh, yeah, you finna get that, right? You finna get him. He said, did your mom tell you to fold the clothes? Yes, sir. And you told her it was her job? Yes, sir. Listen to me, son. Don't nobody tell your mama what her job is but me. I tell you what, I'm out. I don't think I cooked for like a whole month. They look like, what wrong?
Strength.
Can you get me something to eat? I was outdone.
But can we say from that example that as mothers, raising boys, okay?
That's where I was going.
That they are taking the examples of their fathers.
Bingo.
They are picking up the perspectives and the views of their fathers. And because we're in an evolutionary moment, both in the world and in the church,
Right, all of it.
everything is evolving. Because we're in that place, Jesse has having raised boys on your own.
Mm-hmm.
How important is it for their father to exhibit a perspective that shows their sons that they do have to support their women as they go through the processes and not have that old mindset of, I'm the king, you do what I told you to do, you have a role in the house, cook the food, do the laundry, take care of the kids, or what have you. Where does a father come in and say, well, wait a minute now, this is your mother, she has a career, she's your mother, but we have to extend a level of respect to her for where she is and what she's doing.
Now there's a male running the house, and the male's only, and he's the father, and he got just the kids, and he's by himself, he's single, then that's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult because you ain't got nowhere to balance that. All the kids going to see is dad doing this and dad doing that. Now when I give down, now all of them have their chores, and they all going to share every chore. Besides the outside, of course, the boys going to be put into the yard and everything like that. But the fact is that it's going to always be unbalanced in that sense. Unless a woman was in the house and you see a woman doing the nurturing and doing this and that, but they didn't have that. So I mean, it was a bad situation, but we survived it, and they have to go by with those rules and those regulations that were put upon them when I was raising them. The only sad part about it is I raised more girls than I did boys. So, like I said, that masculine energy earlier, I spoke about that. These women was raised with a man, and they exhibit those masculine energies when they went out on their own looking for relationships. And just rolling back to everything everybody said, I applaud everything everybody's saying. But just look at the statistics though. 50% of marriages is gone. Divorce. Ending divorce. Reason why? Ask yourself. A lot of these independent women, well, let's put it there. Careful. A lot of these independent women, a lot of these entrepreneur women out there doing a great job, like I said, but just look at their hand. Less than 50% of them are married. 1 out of every 4 black women are getting married.
And whose fault is that?
Well, we ain't gonna say whose fault it is, but this is the thing. And we gotta look at what's going on out there. So all this and that, well, look at the numbers. Numbers speak for themselves. Now, y'all can argue with it all you want, but let's just go with the numbers.
May I interject?
Well, right, can I just for just a moment?
Go ahead, I'm gonna let you speak.
I would like to, because I raised my children.
Okay, go ahead.
Majority.
Children.
Miss Tony, can you hear me? Make sure Miss Tony can hear me as well. You can hear me, love?
Yeah.
I raised my children majorly as a single mother. There was no father. And there wasn't challenging in the fact that there was no masculine this or, more feminine that. I raised 3 sons, 30, 23, 20, and a daughter who's 24. I did make sure that my sons had mentors. My children were wrapped up and tied up in the word and had leaders, pastors, because I'm not one of those women who felt like, I don't need a man, they don't need any male influence. I didn't do that. But I was married to my children's father, and he chose not to be a father. That left me as a mother, and I didn't drop them on anybody's doorstep. Mama, cousin, auntie, grandma, the system didn't raise them. I raised them, and I worked, and I went to school. I ensured they prayed. I ensured they ate healthily. I ensured they were at football. I ensured that they were at camp. We did have balance. I did have time management skills. I made sure that they had a routine and schedule. I made sure I utilized my crock pot. I made sure that I did my meal prep. I made sure that I washed the clothes, ironed the clothes, and had them laid out for the week so they could handle their business. I will tell you this. When I have had a marriage, and I was married at 18 and divorced because we were both too young to know what the world we were doing and didn't have the right support. When I got married, time number 2, I'm putting my own business on Front Street because you need a little help right now. When I got married, time number 2, it didn't have anything to do with me being or not being in control. You understand that?
Okay.
I, as a D and S type personality, let me tell you what my desire is. My desire is to have a husband, a man to come along and say, hey, sweetheart, I got you. I desire to have a man. Submit ain't a cuss word to me. Please let me be able to come home and say, husband, how you doing? Please have somebody to come and lead me, because I'm tired of having to do everything. I'm tired of having to wear the skirt and the pants. I'm tired of being the one who have to pray and then have to have my own shoulders to lean on to pray with. I'm tired of having to be the one to go make the bacon. I got to kill the pig. I got to bleed the pig. I got to cut the pig up. I got to cook the pig, and then I got to serve it to everybody and wash the dishes afterwards. Sir, I'm tired of leading. I want to be led. I have no problem with rubbing your feet and rubbing your back and making your meals. I got no problem with that at all. The thing is, if God ain't leading the man can't lead me. That's problem number 1. Problem number 2 is men that walk around and will tell us, oh, you're intimidating. If I'm intimidating, well, you need to rise up, sweetheart. You need to rise up. Because God is definitely leading me. And if you're the righteous man, when I tell you I'm as sweet and as humble as can be, I'm just as sweet. I want to cook. I want to rub your back. I want to support you. I want to be your arm candy. Yes, I do. Absolutely. But you ain't going to run me. Men want to run a woman. No, we're supposed to be together, pray together, do this together. But I had to do it on my own for the most part.
That's good. But all this was I. And I'm gonna tell you now, out here in this community, we're dealing with the general community. These numbers are still out there with the I. You can say I all day long, but it's out there, the numbers. 1 out of every 4 women are getting married. You can't compete with that with the eye. Because, and it's great that you did all these things. I applaud you. But that's just you. I'm speaking of the general public. I'm speaking of the numbers out there. All the people that's out there. I can't just speak for one individual, but because we're talking about the whole community. When we talk about the community, we're talking about everybody out there.
But what part of the community is actually pouring into keeping marriages together? What part of the community is doing that? We want to, while we're talking, what part of the community is, where are the conferences, where are the retreats, where are the seminars that are building on those marriages? Where is that at? Because we want to talk about the divorce rate. We'll talk about, because there as many of us that are divorcing, there's a whole lot of married folks out here that are building businesses and are building families and that are unified. I just saw a married couple, 35 years together. You understand? 10 years together, 20 years together. That's happening. But we're not shining the spotlight where it needs to be. If we show more of our children with healthy families, if we showcase that, we keep showcasing the brokenness. Let's showcase the ones that are handling, that's making it. Let's showcase Bishop and his wife. Let's showcase their children.
I agree.
Where the attention being placed.
Well, let me speak on the men. The men in my family. My father is deceased, okay? But my father comes from a line of men that did things better than the women. They did it all. They worked, they cooked, they cleaned. My father had 6 daughters. He was the calmest, coolest man I ever know. The man didn't even curse. Daddy would say, dang, we'd be like, ooh, Daddy said, dang. He never sped in the car. When it was time for his girls to, that time, you know, Daddy took us to the store talking about, what about these baby with the wings? My nephews, the offspring from my father, he was their grandfather. He showed them by example what it meant to be a man. It didn't have anything to do with what was in his pants, who went to work first, who was home latest. My nephews to this day, I have a nephew, I don't know him up on this show, but he knows who he is. He is a house dad right now. But he at one time was the primary care provider. And he still compliments his woman in that area. But he has realized that, like his granddaddy, sometimes your woman gotta leave because of where the world is economically. So he's at home taking care of his little 5-year-old baby, a 53-year-old man with a 5-year-old. And that little girl don't go nowhere without her daddy. He don't go nowhere without his baby. He packed the backpack better than her mama do. 2 nephews. The other nephew is almost the splitting image of my father's spirit. Entrepreneurial and working wise. He got his foot in the 9 to 5, and then entrepreneurial on the other side. They never see the man. But it's all done. His woman supports him, but he don't come home and talk about, did you cook the food? Or give me a you-know-what job? He don't come home with all that mess. These are the men in my family. I'm not heterosexual, but my parents are heterosexual. They gave birth to a different individual. And from them, I learned the balance of both natures that are crucial. Because, see, I cannot model my relationships after heterosexual people. Because y'all's situation be a workout in itself. So I have to get a definition of what my family and what my experience is going to be. But I'm grateful that I have a father that left a legacy of grandsons that are truly examples of what it means to be a man that doesn't have anything to do with their immediate role. They do it all.
Right, I want to go back real quick to something Jesse said when he talks about the statistics, the 1 in 4. Why is this a problem? There are a lot of women that are single that choose to be single, and it's okay. And I like her spirit because what she's saying, yeah, most women, they want that male. They want to be submissive. But we don't just want anything. You know, when me and my spouse started as a blended family, we had to make some shifts. and adjustments. Just like when my 7-year-old said what he said to me, I had to make some shifts and adjustments. And my boys know how to cook, they know how to clean. They can clean better than me. They know how to cook, they know how to clean, they know how to do all of it, because I don't want them thinking that's their wife's role. Because the dynamics have changed. I didn't have an option to be a stay-at-home mom. You know, we were a blended family. You know, my husband would bring home a check. I'm like, Lord Jesus, do like the fish and the loaves. Jesus help me. You know, because, and that was for him to have to go out and work and earn it and then take care of other households, because we were blended families. You know, it's really unique that we were able to stay together as long as we have, and we had to make a decision. Hey, it's me and you against the world, baby. That's how it's gonna go. Nobody else can run our home. My children, when my stepchildren would come, I think we shared this other day. Listen, I'm gonna love you like you're my own child, and I'm gonna beat you like you're my own child. I'm not trying to replace your mother, you know, but I'm a stepmom, but you're gonna feel welcome and loved. I would treat my stepchildren the way I wanted my child to be treated when they would go into their father's home. You know, I sow what I want to reap. And when I sow something and I reap something different, you're going to have a problem with me. So that 1 in 4, even I know Jesse talked a lot about women's lib, and if you really study that, it was a movement to prevent women from being second-class citizens.
Yes, it was.
You know, and the thing what I don't like about movements when they come, you have a just cause, but every other movement slide into it. But it was to stop them from being second class. You know, back in the day, a man could be this wife. The cops come, man, handle your business. They're not gonna protect you. I mean, it was women had to make decisions to defend themselves when they didn't have the godly man. You know, and I'm not talking about the godly man in theory, the religious man. I'm talking about a real secure man who's comfortable with what he's, you know, who he is. And like I said, I made a decision to fall back and let my husband pursue and do the things that he want to do. So now it's shifting. He's reached a certain pinnacle, so now it's my time. Now, it wasn't that I've always had entrepreneur desires, and I never gave up on them. I got my business, I got all these things in place, and I've studied them and I've watched them and I learned, and so now I'm putting myself out here. I'm starting small. I want to see how other people are doing it. What's your, get your book before you don't get your book. What did they do? You know, because if they went out there and they had made some mistakes and they could tell me, sis, no, don't do that. I want to learn going forward. But my youngest son is now in his second year of college, and so now it's my time. Now the whole household is struggling. But I'm okay. That's right. They're going to be all right. You know, my husband's like, what we doing for dinner? I'm eating sandwich. What you doing? I'm going out. Exactly. So now the kids have a shift. They've got to be like, you know, this past year, okay, now things have changed. Let's shift. You know, he's not retired yet, but I've pushed him and supported him and cheerleaded him to get him to a certain level. And I'll let, when we first got out of the military, the only job my husband can get was pick a garbage man. He was humiliated. So how am I? You ain't making, you know, I'm not that kind of woman. If he's doing something and it's honorable, and he will go to work. I didn't marry no lazy man. He going to work. It's not what he wants to do. You know, he went from driving General Schwarzkopf to now he got to pick up trash. That's the only job he could get, being a black man. So it is hard. I knew who he was when he was on the back of the garbage truck. Now, baby, persevere. Come on, go back to school. Well, they say you got to have a degree. Well, let's go back to school. I got the kids. Come on, you can do it. So now he runs the solid waste department in 6 figures. So now the key with a strong man and a good man is, now that you're there, don't flip the script.
Don't forget how you got there.
Don't flip the script, because I heard somebody say it's so powerful, and I've seen it with a lot of friends. And some men, they don't even go into puberty until they become successful.
Wow.
Isn't that something? See, people will treat you a certain way when they need you. Now that they don't need you now, and see, that's what happens, I think, in a lot of the marriage and how a lot of them break up. Yeah, I can support you. I will treat my husband. He is my king. Just don't forget I'm a queen.
Yes.
See, you got to respect one another. You got to have, I think somebody said, balance. You got to have that balance. And when you can humble yourself and know, okay, what's going to be best for the family? Right now, we got little kids. Maybe I can pursue my degree later, and am I going to be okay with that? You know, and then sometimes even as women on women, when I had a desire to go after and do something, man, I got so mom shamed, but it wasn't by men, it was by other women. You know, so it's that 1 in 4, it's a reason for that. And it's the dynamic, it's the shift. Are we ever going to get back to where it was before? I don't know. But a lot of women that you see are single, they don't desire to be single, but they would rather be single than to be in a relationship with somebody controlling and this. And you have to learn each other. You have to learn the meal. You have to learn who it is that you're dealing with. And you got to come back to the table. And the big thing we was talking is communication. What's going to be best for the family?
Let me ask this question. Okay, so we understand that when a woman that is in business, whether it be in corporate America or entrepreneurship, she has to take on a strong leadership role. She has to do that in order for her business or her career to progress. When she comes home and has to transition, and she has to transition down to a softer side, is that a challenge? Is that doable? Can she leave corporate America at corporate America, like Bishop was saying, when you come home, you got to leave all that other stuff there. Right. Does she have the capacity to be able to make that transition? And in the event that she's learning, because I think there needs to be a grace period, you know, when you come home and to be able to say, okay, now I got to take off this hat, put on this hat, but give me just a little bit of grace, you know, if I'm wearing both hats at the same time. And where does a man come into that to be able to say, okay, well, hold on, wait, you're home now, you're not still out there, so you're safe. You can let them know where it's safe. Right?
Personal choice and character. And then that word you just said, see that word right there? That safe will save so much. Because that's what we want. That's what we want. We want that security. Because yes, I'm a boss babe. Yes, I'm out here in these streets, in corporate America, in the entrepreneurial world. Yes, I'm building. Yes, I'm growing. Yes, I'm doing it. A girl want to come home to arms that's going to hold her. To a shoulder that she can cry on and say, babe, I can't believe they said that to me. Can you believe I went to this business? I've been going to these people for, 6 months trying to get them to buy my sugar scrub. And I just walked into this business and they got somebody else's sugar scrub on the shelf and blah. Now I'm upset. Who do I have to tell that to? I want to be able to come home to Bae and tell that to Bae. And I need Bae to be understanding enough and caring enough to say, Bae, it's okay. They didn't deserve your sugar scrubs anyway. Yeah. Come in, let me scrub your legs and your feet with your sugar scrub yourself and remind you how soft and supple and make your skin. Yeah. And to give me that encouragement to go back out there in the streets. And after he finished scrubbing me down, and I done my sugar scrubs, Jesse, you need some sugar scrubs. When he finished rubbing me down and feeling, and I'm relaxing stuff, now guess what I'm doing? Now, baby, what we finna eat today? You cooking, I'm cooking, we gonna cook together? Because that's the thing. So, back again, I'm all about, I teach the tangible things, communication, time management, that grace you're talking about, that unification you're talking about. You have to partner alongside. Bishop said it. Where did we come from, Bishop? We came from the rear, right? So we side by side. This ain't even about, because we talk about, she's leading because she's making more money and he's at home, he's retirement. He's retired. He ain't no less leading. That's right. We're doing this together because we're partners. We out here, we side by side, we're running the race together. We join. Now, if you're a female and you have nobody else, if you're a male and you have no one else, you have to do it all, then you're doing that by the grace of the Most High. You're still not by yourself. You got a partner. You understand? And again, the mentoring programs that are out there. You've got the My Community mentors that are out there. You got the Dream Hunters programs that are out there. If you by yourself, is because you choose to be by yourself. My children were a part of the Mobile Explorers. I love the Explorers. My sons went to places. I'm 43 years old. I ain't been to Disney yet. You understand? My sons went to Montgomery to the African American Museum. They went and visited Dr. King's place. I couldn't go because I was working, but I was able to send them with their mentors, with their male mentors. You understand? Who supplied in their lives. They had their football and baseball coaches who had the understanding. You the coach, but I'm the mama. So if he ain't making the grades and his room ain't clean, he ain't playing. But I need you to push him and drive him, and I need you to be that male voice that I know that because he's a male. And he's going to be a king, a man. Can it be done? Yes. Like I said, that the grace, yes. Make me feel safe. Let me know that I'm secure. Ain't no problem taking the hat off, because for real, I don't care about this hat. I'm trying to get this 401k. I'm trying to build this to a place where we don't have to work for anyone anymore. And I think that all of us in the new dispensation, the new, not the old school, ain't had no choice, and this is what we did, a lot of them. We would work for folks. The majority of people now would much rather have their own. But sometimes it requires, like you said, that 2 foot here, foot there, in that 9 to 5, and I'm going to use these little coins to get to my paper. I'm going to use this chunk change to get to my millions. Absolutely. Use this to invest in that so that we can get to that place of freedom. But you have to be able to feel safe with your partner, secure with your partner, and it ain't no problem.
Well, let me say this. I want to now talk about the women in my family. Okay? I had my mother, and I got to count, 5 older sisters. 5. That were bosses, corporate. Went to college, graduated, worked full time, came home, took care of the kids, cleaned up the house, got sexy as hell, worked it right, ass went to sleep, and they got up and did it again the next day without any complaint, and still didn't get respected from their man. Because he didn't have to say to her, baby, when you come home, take off the hat. She already had left the shit at the door. So there's some women out there that's real. I'm grateful that they're my sisters. I'm grateful to know that they're my sisters. Now, I'm going to backtrack a little bit because I don't agree with the rib, whatever that rib is about. Because the woman is the biological dominant species, so it is physically impossible for us to come out of a man's rib and be magnanimous. We are androgynous spirits. We produced at one time in this world system's evolution without you. Don't make me get on another subject. But nonetheless, there are women out there that do the damn thing. And the hat don't even be on. And the men still be sitting up there playing video games when she get there. The video games, playing the game, ain't getting up, smoking a joint, chilling all day, and she done went out and did the damn thing, came home, did everything else, got sexified, and he's still talking about, oh, just sit right here. What's that?
Choice and character.
I'm
Like
just
I
saying.
said, choice and character.
I'm just saying.
We got to choose. We got to be mindful. Like you tell my daughter all the time. I tell my sons too. Shake the tree, baby. You need to see what nuts fall out. When you make a choice, you choose your mate. Because that's the thing. When you choose your mate, you got to make a choice. Go ahead, Jesse. Jesse. You do. Do you now?
I'm here to tell you right now. Let's just go. Let's just be real with you. 70% of the households are ran by women.
That's not our fault.
So no, it's not your fault.
Look,
But like
slavery separated you, brother, from us from the gate. Number 1, slavery separated you from me.
I'm not arguing with that.
Wait a minute. Therefore, I had to stand by myself. And when they used you to control me so that the white oppressor could have dominance over me, I coddled you.
That's true too.
Because they were going to kill you. And I did not want them to kill my sons, so I raised my women to be strong, independent, and did you see the color purple?
Exactly. Now I agree with you. To be strong and independent. And what happened was exactly what you said. But understand this though. In slavery, they never let a black male be head of anything.
That's
They didn't
what
want
I'm
us to be
saying,
head
what
of
I'm
you
saying.
or anybody else. And I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you right there. But let's just go right now. Right now, like I said, 70% of the households are ran by women. So you gotta understand this. When I said that I ran a household and it was a mistake by a male, my daughters had masculinity. Now, let's flip this now. A woman is running the house. Now, what is these women are out there with? They out there with the same thing as they are a boss, they're this and that, and they can run a household without a man. Because that's the way they've been taught. That's all they've been seeing. So they've been running that way, and that's the reason why it is 1 out of 4 women being married right now.
Those
Because
statistics are wrong.
They're running into the same thing.
Show me where you got them stats from. If you want to be about stats,
CDC,
show me where you got them.
you can go anywhere.
Give me the website.
You
Don't
go
say
to the
CDC out here.
You
Say
go
yes.
you can go to actually any website. The Census Bureau, you can go there and look it up. It's right there.
And what does that profit
matter of
us?
fact,
What does that profit us in this situation that we're talking about? How is this going to make us
Well, okay. How is a community built? A community is built basically by a union, and that union that we're talking about is a male, a female, kids. That's how you build a community. So
you
when
talking
those
about the
communities
white
is
male
corrupt-
patriarchy. That's what you talking about.
Well, I'm just saying
That's
that's
what
how
you're
our
talking about.
community is built. And it's been, now you can look it up however you want to look it up, shake it up, slice it up how you want to. Now I know the new wave is this is that, but that doesn't change the thing that this is the reason why it's happening like it is.
That's incorrect.
So, say that again. Because I want to be clear. I don't want to object to what you're saying without the clarity.
Okay.
I want you to express to me then what you're saying about that 1 in 4 and about these women driven. Are you saying this is a good thing or this is not a good thing?
It's not a good thing.
So then expound on that.
I said that because of me running a household with just a male running a household, I said that was a mistake I made. So that's what I'm saying. And the mistake out there now is that we done traded our males in for a check. And that's why all of these women out there, well, I'm getting deeper into this, because what happened is, if you look at what has happened since the 60s, when we got help.
Is there one?
I'm saying, we can go with
Somebody turn they see.
whatever. But these women was told not to even bring men in the household when they got government subsidies. They was told not to bring the man. Now, why the reason why they said don't bring the man in the household? Because they knew it'll divide us, and they knew it'll do what it had to do. And what we're witnessing today is the reason why all that is happening.
Don't do it, Missy.
Let me say something.
Come through, Bishop. Yes, sir.
Everybody.
We have to look at how society has changed. When you go back to when they were getting commodity back in them days, most of the black men could not get jobs. They were doing pulpwood and farming. You could not raise a family on $35 a week. The lazy men today don't want to work, want to lay around, like you said, video games and smoking dope, having babies. So now this girl got 6 kids, can't work, would love to work, but who's going to take care of the kids? Well, grandmama said, well, I'm not raising your kids. So who's going to help her? Now you say it was a mistake when you raised the kids that you had. I'll say this, ain't nothing you go through in life is a mistake. It was for you to learn, to teach those kids to where, how to be better men and women. My wife spent the majority of the time out of my 29 and a half years by herself raising these kids. They shipped me overseas. She had to go to work and raise them, and I got 2 groups. That's the last group, 10 years from the first group. The first group caught hell. Because my dad always told me, boy, and I never seen them, I seen them fight one time. But he was a man that went when he wanted to go and come back when he wanted. Mama stayed at home. I always thought that was wrong. See, a lot of choices that we made is something you have chose to do. I chose not to be like my father in some ways. I chose not to be like my mother in some ways.
Amen.
It is a choice. And because the statistics the way it is now, women's got to work because most men don't want to work. So therefore, they got to get out there to survive. Because you are in the loop, it doesn't mean the rest want to be.
What time is service tomorrow, Bishop? What time is service tomorrow, Bishop?
Place to the top.
We're being
On
faithful.
Facebook.
Hallelujah.
Can we do it back to? Can we do it back to?
But I'm just looking at our opinion about things.
Yes, yes.
We have to look at what did I learn
Yes.
from what did you go through.
Yes.
How can you come over and help my family? One, I don't want you talking to my family. This is the problem that we have.
Yeah.
We don't want to help one another.
No,
And this is the problem. Now, we'll argue. We'll debate. We'll disagree. We'll do all those things. But when it comes to educating, this young man struggles because he is trying to help where people don't want help.
You understand?
I try to tell him, like, son, you're going to learn. That's a catfish. He like to be on the bottom. He like to stir you up, stir. That's a mother that just loves to see things. Ain't going to fix them because when they get rough, they jump out the water. Now, that's a redfish. The redfish think he's dominant, think he's boastful, and they like to keep everything in place, but the old great white just laying back in the club. This is the problem that we have. We're cutting one another down and building.
That was awesome.
So, when I look at
Steal that.
the husband and the wife
Use that.
and being able to come home, if she come into a hair house, then how can she take well, I feel anointed.
Come on.
How can she take off that hat when she got to come home and defend herself? How? You have no respect. You say you loved her, but that was a lie. Because she was lying. Everybody wanted her, but you ain't that with her. And you have no way of showing her that love, that true love. This is the apple of my eye. This is the pearl that I found in the field. We don't want to do that. We want to sit around because I said so.
Yes.
So I'm ready to eat.
My goodness.
Then when she chooses, say, you know what? I had enough. I do too much counseling with women that got some worthless mean.
Yes.
And I tell them if they ain't no good, I said, when you got that crocus out, you knew he wasn't no good. And now you realize he really ain't no good, and he's not showing you love. Love is not disrespect. Love is not treating you like you're some trash bag.
Yes.
And when the person, you don't have to commit adultery, you don't have to do conformification. But if you don't show love, I don't have to stay with that crook.
Period.
Let me stop.
Period.
I felt that.
Period. You don't need no statistics for that truth right there.
And don't be mad when she leave you for me.
Good night. And that's another set of statistics and another town hall discussion because that's a reality that happens as well. That's a reality and it happens as well. And folks get upset and they mad about that. They do. They get upset and mad. But how often, if you think about it, how long does a woman have to be beat down by a man, treated terribly by a man, worn out by a man to decide I don't want anything to do with men anymore. I find my comfort, I find my release, I find my understanding with the companionship of another woman.
And let me say this.
And we want to condemn them and tell them they're going to hell and blah, 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 but we don't want to tell these men that they're going to hell for not leaving their households like they're supposed to. We don't want to tell these women that they're going to hell for not raising up their men and their sons and their daughters in love and kind of like they're supposed to. We want to take a scale to what sin is and a scale to what love is and a measuring stick to what family is. And the reality is, if you go back to the root of a situation, oh, you mad because she went to that woman? Well, how did she get there?
Let me say this.
How did she get there? Nobody wants to talk about that.
You better say that.
Let me say this.
Stop,
Let
man.
me say this since I'm the LGBT community. it's not because I'm acting like a man. I'm not a man. I'm menstruating every month. I got, what? It is not that. It is the care, just exactly what you're talking about. I'm happy to see her independent and growing and striving and believing and doing. I want to do, cool, do it. I got you. I don't cook that good, but I got you. Okay? That's what it's about. Ain't nothing in my pants down here. It's my heart. So I've heard too many stories in the course of my life. Now I'm 53 years old, 3 years young. Too many stories about heterosexual women who've been so mistreated by men that they're just ruined. They're ruined. And then the sister, how you doing, sister? Ain't even trying to match. Just being respectful, courteous to her. That's not my fault.
All right, I have a question. We spoke on children just a little bit, but when we have corporate America, mom and dad, how do you believe that's a challenge, and how does that affect our children? And how can we help them understand when we are out of the household majority of the time, that we're still there for them?
Well, like I said, raising kids on my own, it was just a blessing to have a lot of money. With money, you can conquer a lot. I'm just saying, when it comes down to raising a kid, because I can pay for a sitter while I'm working, rotating shift work. I can pay for all the daycare. I can pay for them private schools. I can pay for them extra hours afterwards when I come pick them up. So it was just, money was the blessing.
I'm trying real hard, Jesse.
Okay.
I'm trying. Bishop, I'm gonna need your hand upon me after we done. I'm trying real hard. I'm trying to gravitate to a corner that Jesse and I can be on the same. I'm trying, Lord. I'm trying. So listen, once again, and my apologies to those people that are watching, and our attentions are right here because our moderators are here.
Turn it off my mind.
Let me express this to you. Jesus. Y'all who know me already know what time it is. Some no child care about your money, Jesse. Your money combined in shoes and clothes and video games and that babysitter, that's all fine and dandy. The question that the man is asking is the importance of mom and daddy making sure that emotionally and spiritually and mentally that child knows that they matter. Whether you got money or not, you working your 9 to 5, you working all day long, but does your son or your daughter know that they matter? Do you have enough energy left in you when you come home from corporate in America to bounce little Patty on the knee and say, Daddy sure missed you today? Do you have enough energy left in you to tuck them in at night and read them the doggone storybook? Your money gonna run out, Jesse. Does your child know that you love them outside of that? If your care is only shown in money, you're going to lose relationship. Period. So I'm so glad you had that money. I got 2 little toddlers I'm raising. Make the check payable to Zariah and Carmen. You got so much money. First name is Debbie Renee Smith. You got so much money. The organization is called The Village. We need all the coins because it takes a village, since he's so confident in his money. And while you give your money to build the church, I'm going to be rubbing and rocking children and letting them know, yes, you're loved, and yes, you're wanted, and yes, you're important.
I see a Jesse scholarship. Jesse scholarship.
In the name.
Understand my answer. My answer was personally for me as a father raising kids. This is how I had to do it. That's what I said. Personally, as for me. Now, as for a mother and father, is a totally different story. But that's just for me.
And I will say this, in spite of everything, Jesse, I commend you for raising any single father raising their kid. I commend you for that, because that's not the norm. That's not the norm. You still gonna get one to the throat. But I do commend you for that. And that Jesse scholarship.
Yeah, that
grandbaby scholarship.
Where I apply for that grant?
I'll write my
Your proposal.
salary into the grant.
I I do believe it does have a big effect on children, and it goes back to something that she said. They need to know that they matter. You know, they need to know that they matter. It's good that mom can go to work, dad can go to work, we working, we provide, and we give them the house. Most kids just want you. They want to say, when I'm playing basketball, I want to see mama and daddy in the stand. I was that mom that had makeup, face paint, whatever. Let's go. Didn't even understand football. What the yellow flag mean? Let's go to my baby. No, I'm that mom. Wow, even in basketball, my kids were in sports. They want to see, because mom always gonna be there. I even had to put my business out. I love you, baby. When my son got to a certain age and he was playing, but it was usually always me going and coming. And I watched him work hard, come home, try to keep the house up and all of that. If he wanted to watch sports and chill, I didn't mess with him. I was into my kids' sports. But there was times when I would notice, he's looking for you. He's looking for you. And then one time I made a comment about him, he tried to snap. Now this is after we had been married a while, and the Holy Ghost got hold to me. So then I got to say, well, God, I want to be able to say this to edify and bring about a result. I don't have to be, I can do sister girl real well. In fact, you don't want sister girl to show up. It's going to be a problem if sister girls show up. So I'm trying to do this thing the right way. And I said, okay, God, give it to me. And when you desire that, God will give it to you. So we came home from a game. Son ran upstairs because my husband came to the first one, but I think it might have been a tournament or something. So, and I kept seeing him look back. I said, I'm like, Mama here. He didn't want to see Mama. He wanted to see Daddy. So when I come home, my husband was home and he was watching his favorite sports team. Because when I asked him if he was going to stay, it started to be an incidental in the gym, but I fell back. But by the time I got home, I looked at him, I said, and he loves sports. He's looking at this one, he knows who the new, the 5-star player, he knows, he has his favorite team. He knows all of this. And I said, you know something? Those kids made it there because some daddy, uncle, pastor, mentor, they was in his corner. Why would you invest more time watching them on TV when if you pour that into yours, you can watch him on TV? Because this your, and so if I would have went sister girl, he wouldn't have heard that. Because you got to speak alpha male language. You did with alpha male. But that's when it clicked on him and he's like, wow. Because I think my son went from like chubby, chunky, 5 foot something, to when he went to junior high, he was 6'2". He's 6'7" now. So, and another mistake I think men make is when they little, they don't want to be bothered. When they little, let the mama deal with them. But that's when they need you the most. You can't wait till they up here, because see, now they didn't develop with the mother, and then now they mama's boys. Well, I don't want to make a mama's boys. Right, so it's encouraging and saying, it's a way you have to speak to you. I'm not going to step on eggshells. When it's time to get where I need to get, I can get there. But you rather me yell. When I get calm, that's dangerous when I get calm. Because when I'm calm, this is what it is. It's either or. Which way we going? I can go either way.
When I'm calm,
it's there you
when
go.
I'm fussing,
But when it comes to my babies, and it's rough, especially for both. So you have to balance. Okay, you have to come together. We had to come together. Okay, he's got a game on here. I got this. This is going on. My husband's at a convention, and I got to do this. So you have to balance that out, because those kids need to know that they're important. That I'm more than that job. I understand you got to work. I understand you got to bring your money home. But I need to know if something jump off, and I need my daddy or I need my mama when I call. See, it don't take them. My children will call me. I could be in the middle of a presentation. I'm out. This is my baby. I'm out. Well, do you know that, hey, do whatever you got to do. My baby is calling. I got to go. So it's, you have to, without no balance, it is not going to work. It's not going to work without balance. And the kids are the one that will grow up with this attitude that, see, when they hit teenage, when they're young, they idolize you. When they become teenagers, they start judging you because they're looking at what you're doing, not what's coming out your mouth. So you got to be careful that their heart, you feel their heart, you know where they are. You know, you got to have develop a relationship where you know something off with your kid. What's going on? You know, you're not, something's different about them. And something that are money or some shoes or nothing else. You need that. And for men that are out there and working, yes, do it, because compared to the ones that, like you said, they're sitting around getting high, playing games, it's a big difference. Okay, so can you come together and instead of the big word, the C word, don't compete with me. Let's just be a team. Let's do what's best for, okay, you wear the hat today, I shift, you gotta wear it tomorrow, we shift. That's the only way it's gonna work to get, together. That's the only way it's gonna work. You have to have that balance. You have to look at how is this gonna affect my children? If I take this job, how is it gonna affect there was a time my husband was going for his master's. I wanted to go back to finish my bachelor's. We both couldn't be in school at the same time. We couldn't do it. That's on us. We waited till later. Everybody's situation and circumstance is the same, is not the same. So you got to work with what's going on in your house. So what I love about him, he saw things that he wasn't going to repeat with his father or his mother. But you got to make up in your mind, I'm not going to follow what everybody else doing. Me and my spouse got to come up with a plan and work this out and do what's best for our children, because it does affect both being in corporate America. It will affect them. You got to have a game plan and you got to have balance.
Okay, and in wrapping up, let me ask this question. So we're talking about moms and women who are in corporate America, who are running their businesses. It takes a very strong woman to do either or, okay? So we have our children, we have our young ladies who are looking at their moms and they're like, wow, I want to be like her when she grows up. I want to be that woman. We have our young men looking at moms saying, okay, yeah, I want to marry a woman like that, or I want to be with a woman like that. How do we define roles for our children to understand? How do we teach our young ladies to understand, yes, you have to have that drive. You have to have that tenacity. You have to have that strength. You have to be a boss. You got to get out there and you got to get on your grind, because you have to create a space for yourself. How do we teach her that while also teaching our young men that, yes, you have to be with a woman, or you should be with a woman who is self-sufficient but still has enough grace to be able to honor you as a man? How do we balance those two?
Honesty and transparent conversation. Honesty and transparent conversation. I have always shared with my children my wins as well as my losses. This is how I did it. This is what I did well. This is how I totally messed that up. Don't do this, but do that. When my sons, I think about my oldest, I have one who just got out of the Marine Corps, and his choices in choosing a woman, and when he was younger, talking about wanting a woman like me, that ain't what you want, Doc. You think this is what you want, that ain't what you want. It takes a special kind of somebody to be with someone, and you have to be strong in order to be with a strong woman, is what they say. Well, it's not about that. Just be a man. Be a leader. Be king. Be that thing. And the thing about it is, you haven't been taught. We're in 2021. Google it, baby. It's help out there. We need to have another thing where we talk about mental health. Mental health challenges are real. Go get you a therapist if you need one. You understand? Find you someone to talk to. Get a bishop in your life. If you haven't had a bishop in your life, go find you a bishop in your life. If no one has been in the household to teach you what manhood is, and I don't care if you as a man at 20, 30, 40, or 50, because you can still grow. As long as you got light in your eyes and your tongue ain't stuck to the roof of your mouth, you can learn what it is. You got to, what you said, humble yourself. I want to be the best husband. The word says a man finds a wife, finds a good thing, and obtain the favor of the Lord. Every man wants a good wife, but are you a good man? Every woman wants a good man, but are you a good woman? Yes. That's how I teach. Yes. I'll tell a girl in a heartbeat, baby, I'm ready to get, you ain't ready to get married, sweetheart. You ain't take care of yourself. You don't love yourself enough first. I tell these boys, I tell my son, you ain't ready to get married. You ain't ready because you ain't ready to get out in the streets and stay out the club. You ain't ready yet because you're too selfish. So in order to do that, it's a choice in character, and I have those kinds of conversations with my children. Parents weren't having those kinds of conversations. They're not taking the time to tell them, if you want a strong woman and a boss-babe woman, you see this woman that's got this big boutique, and you see this woman got this online this, you see this woman traveling the world, you do understand if you want this beautiful, fine woman and she's doing all this stuff, when you get with her, she don't need you. So what is it about you that she does need? And it ain't got nothing to do with your package. It has everything to do with your heart and your character. So you're going to have to be a man of sustenance and character in order to have that kind of woman, in order to be worthy of that kind of woman. And the same thing goes with a woman. I, as a woman, I can have it going on. I can have the car, the purse, the business, all the things. Can I tuck myself in at night? And as a woman, do you understand those cold nights that will come? I don't care how independent you are. I don't care how long. We all got girls with the big body pillow. There's some things that long body pillow can't do for you. Are you willing to be humble and be led and take that hat off? And are we as mothers willing to have those conversations with our daughters? I have those conversations with my daughters. So the question is, moms, what kind of conversations are you having with your daughters and your sons? Fathers, what kind of conversations are you having with your daughters and your sons? You can pass that legacy on, because that's what, at the end of the day, we're doing all this because we want to better our future. We're doing all this so that we can make those that come behind us better than we are, better than we have been. You have to be transparent. You have to be honest. Be honest about your wins and your losses. I have failed. I've fallen and fallen hard. And my passion and my deal is, I moved to the state of Alabama in 2010. I was homeless and sleeping in my truck, Jesse. I had 10 days worth of clothes, 3 kids, and a dog. I had a church give me money, put the gas in my vehicle from Martin City to New Orleans, and then from New Orleans to Mobile, Alabama. I had nothing but me and my kids. We used to say me plus 3. I didn't have a dime, but I had them, and they knew I loved them. My daughter was 18 years old, had just gotten accepted into Talladega College. We had gone to the campus and set her stuff up. We're coming back, and we stopped at this little thrift store because there was an accident, traffic was bad. We stopped at this thrift store, big thrift store. We walking around and some stuff, and she saw some things like from her childhood. And my daughter, who her middle school years were spent from pillar to post, who had to sleep on church floors in chairs we put together because we had nowhere to go, who knows about family promise and knows about taking a sponge off at a gas station before she went to school. I put my Mary Kay makeup on to go to this interview, and they didn't know that I was laying down the seats in my truck to sleep there at night. That child looked at me at 18 years old and said, "Mama, thank you for a good childhood." Wow. I had such a great childhood. You can ask her. Ask her away from me. We had a really good childhood. I'm like, you did? And I've apologized so many times for my shortcomings. But it's because I was present and accounted for. We didn't always have everything I wanted them to have, but by golly, we had everything that they needed. Everything. I'm growing and developing as a businesswoman now to get better, to have this my time, this my season. Yes. But honey, you can't touch me as a mama. You can't. Look, Bishop, I'm a boss mom. I'm a boss mom. Yes. I like that. With transparency, open and honest about the wins and the losses.
Yeah, that's good. That's just awesome. I mean, I know we're wrapping it up, and I'm going to always reiterate, I don't have any children, okay? But I'm a triple G aunt, okay? So I still, and I'm paternal. I am paternal. I just ain't doing it this by the time I ran out of time. Here I have no wait. Watching my siblings raise children and the challenges that they've had with their male between my children, because 2 of my sisters raised their male sons by themselves because the fathers weren't present. One of my sisters started out raising her all 3 male children with a husband, and then he messed up, and then she had to raise her children by herself, the rest of the way. Okay? So I watched, and then I watched the nieces and nephews have children, and their children have children, and I'm watching the dynamics. And what I can say is this. one of my future books will be Live Like a Man, but always be a lady. And this is what I mean by that. What I love about men as people, because see, people think LGBT people are lesbians, and I don't really like that word because it makes me feel like I got a rash. What they tend to not realize that we love about you, because I come from 25 chromosomes come from my father. And what I love about you guys is the simplicity with which you live. Women, we got to have a whole purse with a whole bunch of stuff in it, blah, blah, blah. My father just had a wallet. You know, his keys, and then he would do a pat down. If they would have had phones back then, he would have been checking for his phone. Now, I tried to do a purse. It don't work for me. I left my purse one day on an aisle in the market, because I was smoking weed, and I left my purse on an aisle in the market with all my money and everything in it. By the time I realized I lost my purse, I'm knowing I've been robbed. I'm in Los Angeles, forget it. When I found my purse, and thank God all my belongings was in there, I was like, I'm gonna just keep my belongings, I'm good. So, what I mean is the simplicity with which you live. You know, you don't have to do a whole lot to get ready to go. My girl got to do a whole show before she leaves. I be like, we ain't never gonna get out of here. Simplicity. You get it done when you go shopping, you get it done, you got your jeans, you got your shoes, you got your socks, you ready to roll. We be there all day. And my homie more stores we gonna go to. The simplicity. And then the gracious part is to know when and when not to speak when you're a lady. And you don't have to be the man, especially if you got one. But if you gotta get in a little jujitsu, do what you gotta do. Because I know those that you follow her and you will have made a mistake. Because she'll turn into Bruce Lee on you so quick, you won't understand what happened to you. So be gracious. You ain't got to let everybody know what you know. And for the men, on the men's side, have enough gentleness in you like my father had to just be quiet. And don't say a word. And just lead by example of how it should be. Because my father never had to say a word to show where his place was in the house. And sometimes he should have to my mom a couple times, at least pushed her down on the shoulders and told her to shut up or something. Because she used to be working it. Look at my sister, no, I ain't lying. But he had enough grace and respect for her because that's the line of men that he came from. You don't curse your woman, you don't strike her, and you agree even if she's wrong. Now, I don't particularly care about that part because I think that's dangerous. But just have enough manliness to know when and when not to speak. That's all I've got to say.
There were some things that I heard here, and as we get older and get more into that, we use other words, you know, to be transparent. You know, when you're available, it says we need to train them up in the way they should go, so when they become of age, they won't go too far away. That means they're gonna go out and do what they want to do. I'm glad men don't have to have kids, but what I learned is that from 0 to 4 years old, which you carry a child before coming into the world. If you're in a hell-bound house, that child you're carrying is receiving what you're receiving because your nerves and your mind is saying, I'm sick of this. Then when that baby come and finally get a chance to talk, Mom, I'm sick of this. And you're going to like, wait, I ain't never said it. So we have to understand that we can change a child's behavior by our action. Back to the brother here. You can have all the money in the world, but you can raise a little monster because you think the world is going to give them everything. You ain't going to be around forever. You're going to die and leave this world, and that child, and if you don't leave a bunch of $1 billion around, you can hurt that child in the long run because now they've been given everything. They never had to earn it. They never had to work hard. So we do have to think about what we train them on, what we talk to them about, because they will take it to home. And for me, I was shipped out of here. I've been all over the world. Me and my wife have been married 46 years almost. And was it easy? No. You said a key. I had to learn how to be quiet. In the book it says a woman is a nagging, just nag all the time.
That's right.
Sometimes when you're faced with a challenge, it's trying to teach you something. One, we're not trying to be humble to what we can learn. We just want to be debatable and just claw back and we don't get anywhere. Who's watching us? There's so many people watching us in our actions. There's some that are watching you saying, you know what? I like what she did, but there's one thing she did. I don't like her that much. It don't have to take a whole lot. So when people watch us here today, I'm glad that they did not see us arguing with one another. They seen us voice our opinion and agree on something that did not agree. So we have to be very cognizant of when both parents are working somewhere in that child's life, they're going to tell you, Mom, Dad, you weren't around. Why? I think you said, they don't care about your money. They wanted your presence. My son above him told me, he said, Daddy, when I was coming to 12th grade, I know what you're doing. You're trying to help the family, but you need to come home. So I'm like, son, I said, I'm making $77,000 tax-free every year. They don't get about no money. I had to make a decision to quit that job, to come home, and be with him his senior year. So I didn't go back, so I was here for him. So, but I wasn't here for his 4 years of college. So there are things that we do miss. You can't fix it. So now, let's teach our grandkids, teach the nieces, the nephews, how. My mama made me watch that. I said, Mama, I'm not a girl. That's the girl's job. She said, you go over there, you get your butt in there and watch them dishes. So I learned how to wash dishes. I learned how to cook. I learned how to clean. I learned how to do all of those things. But yet, I still learned, watching my old man, what I wanted to get part of my life and what I didn't want to be. Because I can share some things in my family, and we got everything on my side of the family, we got all colors. So everybody don't want to go into the details of what their family like. You got some drunks, you got some, what you call it, LB, whatever you want to call it. I mean, so don't try to make like your family that perfect. Because what you deny may face. And I'm going to leave this with you. What if your child come and tell you they this or that, will you still love them?
Wow, that was powerful.
I'll get some forgot the question. My closing remarks, I'll just say that we need so much more of this. The dialogue, the communication, the thought process from all, all backgrounds. And that's how we start rebuilding the community. It's through things like this. His point, her point, his perspective, her perspective. That open, transparent dialogue. I believe people who watch this, who will watch this, they're going to glean something from it. And hopefully be better, do something different in their household because of our experiences. And one key thing, the traditional family, it will work if you work it, but the statistics are what they are. Because it is the household. When you have two that are humble, they can work together, it works. When you don't have that, you don't. I grew up in an abusive home, not by no boyfriend, by my natural father. So that left an impact on how I saw marriage, how I saw it made it very hard for me to trust, especially a man. But once I connected, and it was my spiritual growth that helped me get beyond a lot of things, because it's a lot of things still happening behind closed doors. Everybody ain't talking about it. That leaves an effect on the children. So you want to come into the next generation to be better. To, like with me, teaching my boys and telling them what to look for in a female and how they're supposed to treat a female. You know, how you view. My husband can teach them from a male perspective. I can teach them from a woman perspective. Just like what Jesse was saying, he raised his children, even his daughters. They need to see things from a female perspective as well as a male perspective. You have to come in together in unity, teach them, because whenever I get my grandkids, we do fun things, we enjoy each other, but then I get real serious with them. Teaching them where they headed at, what you want to be when you grow up, where you at, what you looking at. And sometimes them grandchildren tell on mommy and daddy, you know, and I'll be telling you, know what, it's power in your prayer. You can pray and change the whole house. Now, I'm going to deal with my sons or the daughters on another level, but telling them, you got power. God will hear you when you pray. You pray different things because you don't want to lean them one way or the other, but I love my time with them because they open up, and as a grandparent, you can share things with them and teach them and speak life into them, even with what they're going through, even at home. So like you said, everybody's family is not perfect. I don't really have my grandparents around to teach, to, you know, pour into me. So I want to do that for the next generation and hope that they'll do that. But this is how we started, this open dialogue, being transparent. And I love the way we hear from every perspective. Because it can't just be your way. You got to hear from every perspective and learn and glean from it. So this is how we start changing community.
I'm done. Done. That's it.
Well, we'd like to thank the panelists for their amazing job today. We definitely want to give an amazing shout out to Lama Vision and Ms. Tony Parks and her board for joining us on having the second His Point, Her Point. And definitely be looking forward to the next one. Definitely be looking for the location today as well. And definitely I just want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to team up and partner with this, because this was an amazing conversation that I think a lot of people needed to hear. And I believe it's definitely going to help some people get through some situations that they're going through right now.
And I just want to say thank you to our panelists. I absolutely love the direction that we go in on these panel discussions and in our podcasts and things like that, because it does give everyone an opportunity to present their perspective. And what we have to remember is that there are so many perspectives floating around. If we don't bring them all together, we never gain an understanding of where one person may be, so we can never get on the same page. His point, her point, our future is determined to have the conversations that most people don't want to have. The conversations that are being avoided, the conversations that no one wants to talk about, but those same conversations that aren't being had are the same conversations that keep a cap on our ability to grow our children up and to grow even within ourselves. So we have to come together, have these conversations. So again, thank you to our panelists. We appreciate each and every one of you. Bishop, I thank you so much for the use of your church for Divine Revelation Deliverance Center, having us and opening your doors to us. And it's going to take that. It's going to take us coming together as a community and saying, okay, fine, I have this place over here, or I have this ability, or I have this skill set. Let's bring it all together so that we can rebuild our communities, and that we're making sure at the end of the day, we have to rebuild our families. We have to rebuild our families. We have to change the current trajectory of what's happening in our families, because as we build our families, we change our future. Thank you so much for joining us. God bless you. God keep you. We're out.